All right, so let's start with Buffalo here. And the question, Jay, is are we undervaluing Devin Singletary? I kind of think we are. So, first off, I think I am. I think when my rankings update is, I need to move him up a little bit. He's right now I'm at running back 24, 69th overall. And yet, I'm probably a little bit too low on him, but Yahoo Drafter is even lower. They have him at running back 28, 77th overall. The previous segment, we were asked the question, what do you watch for in the preseason, right? Well, we work for usage, okay? Devin Singletary started and played every single snap with the starters in the preseason game against the Broncos, right? 4 times 39 yards, 31 after contact. Did not play in the first 2 preseason games, weeks 1 and 3, okay? I mean, like, they're holding out their starters. Seems like week 2 was when they wanted to sort of trot out the offense there. And he's good. Like, this was a guy who was really good down the stretch last year, Jay.
He was, yeah. And I think people are overthinking it a little bit because he's not a big name. He's not that sexy. No. You think of the Bills offense, you think Josh Allen, then you think Stephon Diggs, and then Gabriel Davis, who's been just about the most discussed fantasy player in the offseason. You don't think of Devin Singletary, but the Bills are the Super Bowl favorite. They have the highest win total in the league at 11.5 with the over juice. So he has the potential to be a 3-down back with not that much competition on the Super Bowl favorite. I mean, his totals that we have him set out is 749.5 rushing yards, 5.5 touchdowns. I think that's his floor. He can definitely go over that. And if he does go over that, then he's going to vastly outperform his ADP.
6 touchdowns in his final 4 games here, over 100 total yards in 3 of the last 4 games as well. I think people are like, oh, what about Zach Moss? What about James Cook? Zach Moss was a healthy scratch at times last year. Yeah. And James Cook, we think he's a nice player, but he's a pass catcher. He's basically filling the role that they tried to fill with J.D. McKissick when they signed him in the offseason, and then Washington ended up getting him back. And so he's going to be a pass-catching role, but Singletary's a nice pass catcher as well. And so I think down the stretch last year, Devin Singletary proved he could be an every down back. And so we're talking about a guy that's going to get, let's call it 70% of the running back snaps for the best offense in football.
Yeah.
Or I mean, again, we're in this running back dead zone. I think he was running back 18 last year. He was running back 18 overall. He was 26th in points per game. We think he's probably in a better situation this year than he was last year. Again, I think he's sort of proven that he's better than Zach Moss. We expect that offense to be better. I think we're too low. I think we're too low on Devin Singletary.
Yeah, James Cook as well. He's a rookie running back on the Super Bowl favorite. He's not just going to assume Devin Singletary's role, so I think that role is pretty secure. Another running back question for the Patriots. Does Damien Harris going ahead of Ramondre Stevenson in Yahoo ADP surprise you?
Yes. Yes.
You're a big Ramondre guy.
I love Ramondre. I'm Team Ramondre. # Team Ramondre. It doesn't surprise me in this sense. Damien Harris is the bigger name. He's the quote-unquote starter. Last year, when both guys were healthy, Harris was sort of the guy. But it surprises me just in the fact that, we've been Team Ramondre for a while now. We've been on the air for over a week. How long do we got to be ringing this bell before Yahoo drafters are paying attention? Is not everyone in the world watching our show?
Look, I think Damien Harris...
Doesn't everyone have Peacock? What's going on? We thought, doesn't everyone pay attention to and follow every single thing I do? They should. I mean, except in my own household. If I told my daughters to draft Ramondre Stevenson over Damien Harris, they would literally draft Damien Harris purposely. Here's what they would do. Here's what they would do. You know what they would do is they would get at their phone and they'd go, oh, you want me to draft Ramondre Stevenson over Damien Harris? You know what I'm doing? Drafting Damien Harris. They would get their little beady eyes right in my face and do it because I have rebellious daughters. My wife would do the same thing. I have no power in my own household.
I like it.
But, look, Ramondre Stevenson last year, when Ramondre Stevenson gets work, legit. Last year, week 10 against Cleveland, 24 touches, 114 total yards, finishes the second best running back in fantasy that week, right? You think about week 2 of the preseason here. He was in on the 2-minute drill. With James White retiring, the expectation here is that he's going to inherit a lot of that role. I know there's talk about Montgomery, whatever. I believe there is a chance. Again, Belichick likes to use multiple running backs here. But I think there is a better than average chance that Ramondre Stevenson gets half of the early down work and half of the goal line work and all the passing down work. And so the fact that he's going behind Damien Harris, who in the offseason there were rumors that the Patriots were willing to move on from Damien Harris, that they were looking for trade partners. Then once James White retired, they're like, all right, we'll hang on to you, Harris. But I think Ramondre Stevenson is the future, and by the future I mean this season for New England's running game.
I think Ramondre now, he might even have a higher floor than Damien Harris because of all the stuff swirling around Harris, and he definitely has a higher ceiling because he is the future. And Belichick is talking about how they're both going to be 3-down backs and how they're going to alternate series. And I think if you're Team Ramondre, as we are, that's good news because it means he's got more chance to take over the role from Damien Harris. Okay, next one, Miami Dolphins. How much does Tyreek Hill's move from Patrick Mahomes to Tua Tagovailoa affect your ranking of him this season?
Yeah, well, it definitely affects it. I mean, I understand not in Tyreek's mind, because Tyreek is telling us he's got. Yeah, in Tyreek's mind, he's going to an upgrade, but Tyreek is wrong. Yeah, I mean, look, I have him at wide receiver 8. I probably would have still with Mahomes. He's probably wide receiver 2 or 3.
Yep.
Right. I mean, like he's right there with. I think if he were still with Mahomes, I would have him ahead of Jamar Chase. So it'd probably be Kupp, Jefferson, Hill for me there.
Yep.
So he moves down 5 spots. Super talented guy, a guy that you can be creative with and get the ball in its hands a lot of different ways. And I think when you think about the contract, and also you think about how Mike McDaniel used Deebo Samuel last year in San Francisco, obviously Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel built very differently as players. But the fact of the matter is that you saw last year how Mike McDaniel could use a wide receiver in a lot of creative ways and basically sort of manufacture touches for his most talented offensive player. My expectation is that he does that again in Miami with Tyreek Hill, who I believe is their most talented offensive skill player. And so they will manufacture touches for Tyreek. He will get his. But do I think the offense is as explosive as it was in Kansas City? No. Do I think Tua Tagovailoa is as good as Patrick Mahomes? I sadly do not.
No.
So that's how it affects my rankings. I have him down at 8, and I'll have to be honest with you. He makes me nervous. He's one of those guys that, like, that's where I rank him. But so far, I haven't got him on any drafts, and I probably won't.
No.
Because I'm probably, where he ends up going, I'm usually either on a running back or I've already gotten like a wide receiver 1, and so I just haven't wound up with him on a lot of teams.
That whole team makes me nervous because Tua with a new offensive line, what's he going to look like? New coach, new Tyreek Hill as a weapon. He was wide receiver 6 and wide receiver 2 in PPR the past 2 seasons. I think him going wide receiver 9 or 8 where you have him, I think that's about right. The one thing I would say about Tua is I think it's similar to the Carson Wentz thing, where Carson Wentz, when he's bad, it's like James Harden's defense, where it's comically bad. Tua, social media teams love Tua Tagovailoa because of when his passes sail, they sail into the crowd. It doesn't look like he's playing the same sport as other professional quarterbacks, but those are just random isolated plays. And in totality, I think he's going to be fine, and he's throwing the ball deeper in preseason for whatever that means. Now, the Jets. Can Zach Wilson support 2 fantasy viable wide receivers in Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, the question is, do you believe in Zach Wilson? I know a lot of mothers do. I know he's a fan favorite among moms. The question is among fantasy managers that don't have young children. And the answer is no, I don't believe he can. I don't believe he can. I don't think that's fair to put on Zach Wilson. I think the Jets' offense, as currently constructed, with a young, inexperienced quarterback in Zach Wilson and an offensive line that's going through a transition with the loss of Becton, I don't believe that offense can support 2 viable fantasy wide receivers because I just don't think they're going to be high-flying enough, right? And by the way, they also, they have pass-catching running. I do think you've got coaches that came from San Francisco, which is kind of a spread the ball around, right? And so, you still got Corey Davis there. You got C.J. Uzoma in the offseason. You've got nice pass-catching running backs in Breece Hall and Michael Carter. So I think in terms of consistent fantasy value, obviously all those guys will have big games here and there. But for consistent fantasy values, give me Elijah Moore, who from weeks 9 through 13 last year was the second best wide receiver in terms of total fantasy points and points per game. He caught at least 1 touchdown in 4 of the 5 games. He finished 5th last year in receiving yards among rookie wide receivers, playing with a multitude of quarterbacks. It wasn't just Zach Wilson, but it was Joe Flacco, it was Mike White. Worth noting that, in fact, when Moore had his big run there, actually Wilson wasn't really out there. No. It was Mike White. It was Joe Flacco. I don't put a lot of stock into that. Again, Zach Wilson is somebody that I believe will be able to find Elijah Moore and get him the ball. And if he can't, look, they're going to start the season with Joe Flacco. I'm a big Elijah Moore believer, and it's weird. Garrett Wilson's going really late, right? He's going 53rd for a quarterback. And I get it. He's a wide receiver drafted in the top 10, but he went to the Jets and he went to a dysfunctional offense. But it's interesting, what's going to happen here with Wilson and Moore. I just think Moore is the more talented player. Loved Wilson coming out of college. Think dynasty prospects for him are high. But this year in redraft, there are other guys I think with more upside going late in drafts.
Yeah, I would be very gravely concerned about the Jets receivers with Zach Wilson. In terms of what goes into the betting lines, we treat Zach Wilson, until proven otherwise, as basically the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. And look, he needs to start and he's got upside, so he should play. But if he was out for the season, we would have increased the Jets' win total because we think that they might have traded for Jimmy Garoppolo, Joe Flacco, Mike White. On what they showed last year, they were playing better than Zach Wilson. So there's a lot of upside, but on what he's shown so far, no Jets receiver had more than 538 receiving yards last season.
Yeah. I just, if he can stay healthy and stay in the field, like we saw the potential last year. I just love Elijah Moore's talent, and we saw it play out last year. He had fantasy production for, a stretch of time there. One last question for you before we go to break here. So if you let's pretend, here's my question for you. If you were a kid and you walked home into your house and you saw your mom there, your single mother,
see where this is going.
Your single mother, your mom, and you want your mom to be happy.
Yeah.
Like for whatever reason, the dad's out of the picture. And so you want your mom to be happy. And your mom is there with, I don't know, I'm making it up here, Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
And they're just like, they're in the coffee having, you're in the kitchen having coffee. Just hanging out in the morning.
Just exactly all that's happening.
Right. So, right. It's like it's early morning. It's whatever. Zach's in like shorts and a t-shirt or something like that.
Yeah.
What's your reaction?
Yeah, I hope he didn't.
You're like 16 years old.
Yeah, I hope
you want
it wasn't,
mom to be happy.
I hope it wasn't me, and I hope he didn't hear that I said that he's the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
Well, I think I know what's going on there. And
right.
I feel.
No, but I'm just going with your reaction. Are you happy? Like, cool, it's Zach Wilson. Or you're like, oh my God.
I don't think I'm that happy, to be honest, because there's just a lot swirling around. I think if it was any other quarterback in the NFL,
be okay with it?
I'd be okay. If it was Patrick Mahomes, phenomenal.
You're in. You're in.
Zach Wilson, little messy.
So your issue in this completely alleged scenario that we have no proof of is not that Zach Wilson is hanging out with your mom, who's like 20-something years older than him. Yeah. It's that he's not as good as Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.